White man in 1933. So but in the middle, the minis are shallow. She wants to look at. Yep.
I'll call the meeting to order for the Angola Common Council Monday, December 16th. How about the roll call, please?
Councilmember Coffey. Present. Councilmember Olson. Here. Councilmember Sharkey.
Here.
Councilmember McDermott.
Here. Let's request approval of the December 2nd minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes of the November 4th Board of Public Works and Safety meeting is presented for your information. Unfinished business, ordinance number 1769, 2024, an ordinance amending the ordinance fixing compensation of appointed officers, deputies, and other employees of the police and firefighters of the city of Angola, Indiana for the year 2025 third reading.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Do we have any other unfinished business this evening? Hearing none, we'll move along to new business. Resolution number 2024-884, resolution providing for the transfer of appropriations for the city of Angola for the general fund and forward to the common council for their action and passage pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1-18.6.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Request approval and updated and amended Angola Investment Fund policies and procedures. Councilmember McDermott, would you lead us off, please?
I shall. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The policies and procedures have been updated, and as we have looked at the ordinance, there's a section in there that allows us to do that without it, I believe, council's approval, that we have the power to do that, but we want to make sure that you're aware of what's going on with us. One of those things is that we want to expand so that we can contract and we can make this money that we have available to more possible folks that could take advantage of it. Because we have been through a period of transition over the last 2 years or so, 2.5 years, and with people, coming and going and whatnot. So we are now ready to move forward and wish to hit the ground running at the first of the year with some proposals and options. And we'd also like y'all to help us get the word out as well. And Isaac could probably explain it more than I can. And fortunately, he's here tonight. Isaac, if you would, please.
That's your introduction in case you didn't catch it.
I'll answer any questions. But what I will say to add to Councilmember McDermott's points are, this was created at a time where we identified, I think, about 30 or so original NASIC codes at a time where that was the target of the funds. And it hadn't really changed since then. Of course, we know over the last decade, there's been a lot of things that have changed. We've seen 2 rounds of Okra funding being utilized by seed money from the Angola Investment Fund, which part of the proposal is to create a commercial arm for revolving loan fund. We've seen the idea of this entrepreneurship piece be done by the Angola Investment Fund, and gain some traction. Really, the old policies and procedures limited our ability to address some of the present day needs versus what we had originally started with. So that's the majority of the changes that are in that document.
Can you speak a little bit about how it's being publicized to people in Spain County?
There's 2 electronic locations where it's publicized, on the City of Angola's website and on ours. A lot of times if individuals approach the board or REITA in this case, or prior administrations, it comes to the Economic Development Corporation. There is a contract in place that's never been enforced. There's a monetary side of that, which I've never enforced, but the policy or the procedure side we have, to where we bring in that information. We collect the application, which includes numerous documents, credit reports, which they apply for themselves, confidential information, private information, much like a commercial banker would receive in a normal loan application. I showed with the AIF last meeting we had, I mean, the loan packet's that thick. It's almost like a ream of paper. We will go through that by our contract that we have currently with the city of Angola. We will go through that, review it. And to AIF, I will provide kind of the high notes of what the document is. And then again, from that piece is where the AIF board goes through and either approves or denies.
And Isaac hands it out at any business retention meeting that he attends as well.
Thank you. So right now I'm working off the old NASA codes. So there are certain times where I can walk into an industry that's not specific to a NASA code and can't offer it. What we're trying to do is make it a broader application to impact today's environment versus 10 years ago, a little over that. So when I'm able to offer it, it's in every BRD conversation I have.
I think, are the commercial banks and other financial entities, are they aware of this and do they encourage this use?
Some are, as you know, banks have a revolving door and turnover quite frequently. We've got some cornerstone banks in our community that haven't had that turnover. Mark Cohen's on our board. I'm sure every time he has the opportunity to.
Well, this has to be a benefit to them also from people that.
Part of the changes will allow us to go into a little bit of a marketing phase, as McDermott, Councilmember McDermott said. We're asking council to help with that, but at the same time, once these new policies and procedures are in place, we'll be able to go to their commercial bankers collectively and say, okay, here's the three various programs. Here's what the new terms are. It's advantageous to couple those with your current commercial nodes. Again, the projects can only exist inside the city of Angola. So it's really a unique program.
Can you think outside the box for me in a second? Is there any other ways we could publicize this?
Well, excuse me.
No, you're good.
I mean, anybody.
He's on the board too, so.
That's one of the things we're kind of itching to do. And a lot of the board members have become, because it seems stagnant, we want to get the ball rolling. So that's kind of what we want. We've talked about, and we're going to talk to the Chamber of Commerce to make sure that, we even talked about doing the learning or the
Lunch and learn
thing and then anything
Reached out
else.
to Trine Alumni
Yes.
board, or I don't know who, one of the girls there, just on ways that we can possibly get the word spread there as well. Realtors, we talked about that.
Like
Well,
to
that was on the
as well.
entrepreneurial school. is there?
Right.
So this is the center, what do we call it, a box center, is that what that is?
Right. The loan incentive is quite nice. I mean, it's always going to be 2% below prime,
2% below prime, but never below 2%.
but never below 2. But a lot of folks, I think, need more than what we're able to give them. So that's why we'd really like to help more people out, even smaller businesses.
In general terms, when it's coupled with an industrial node, because that's where we've done most of all of our deals, it takes second position. It helps mitigate risk for a bank or partially mitigate risk. Obviously, the bank's looking at how to mitigate risk all the time. So this is coupled with that, makes the note that the financial institution is providing more favorable because that's there. So in generally, the interest rates of what we're offering are designed to be lower than what the bank can offer.
Does the organization have to be in Swain County for a certain period of time?
Has to be in the city of
City of
Angola,
Angola.
It's the city of Angola.
and it cannot be in the ETJ.
Right.
Only
So if I'm
inside.
I'm just kind of.
I think was it a year that they have to be in business here?
Yeah,
So it's not a startup at all.
The entrepreneurial piece that's in there could be for startups, and that's a very small portion. That's not the revolving loan fund. The other ones they have to be in city of Angola for a year.
I'm really thinking about those trains are coming out and like the Johnny Apples. What's the beer place we? Chapman's, yeah.
That was the original note.
That brings to mind, has there been any default problem with any of these loans in the past historically? Zero? Okay. Well, it may happen.
not talk about that.
Well,
And we do have
It's
one
back
on the
alive.
table that we need to address,
No,
which will help.
I think.
I'm not trying to bring those things out, but
Good.
I assume that there has to be some risk, even on your part, that
This is a testament to the board, both present and past. The AIF board takes a lot of time in looking through these applications and making sure that when and money's invested, it's invested in good projects. Especially during the history where we've seen COVID for a couple of years where we didn't do a lot of activity, we were still hamstrung with only offering certain notes, but the notes that we did provide either were paid off on time or early.
okay.
And it's made up of a really good board. There's entrepreneur of business, Isaac's on there. We've got the banker. Like, it's a very, very good, Jerry's knowledge, and everybody kind of brings something, just
Going to bring.
sitting back and witnessing. They've got a lot of great input, and they're very cautious as well as.
And Aretha's gonna update the pamphlet and things too as a marketing thing too.
And some new council members haven't seen this process yet fully on Friday, but the AIF board provides a recommendation. Ultimately, the council approves the note. So you'll get presented at that point in time, those terms.
Any other questions of Isaac or Councilmember McDermott?
So you want approval of this?
No approval required. It's just for your information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Isaac, thank you. Request approval of change order number 1 for the City of Angola Community Crossing Project, number 2023-02, for an increase in the amount of $53,065.87. Amanda, you want to give a short overview of this?
Sure. So this is change order 1, but it's also the only change order. The project's actually finished. This was just over $1 million project, so you're seeing a 5% increase. We ran into some bad soils, some grade issues, a gas service line that was too shallow, so.
You name it. You ran into.
So a 5% increase actually is, we're okay with all the problems that we saw on this project, so.
This was for the contractor, obviously, $1,053,000. We also did a lot of work in-house ourselves. Our street department did a lot of the
I
demo,
remember that.
concrete removal, curb removal. They did a lot of it themselves and did a great job. We got a lot of bang for our buck out of the whole thing. It's a great project. It really helps our communities. We put new streets. A lot of times we put street curbs, gutters, and sidewalks, the whole bit. It really dresses up a neighborhood. It's been a great project for us. Next year is $1.5 million, so we're going to see a 50% increase next year. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? These we like. Request approval of change order number 1 for the Angola wastewater treatment plant biosolids improvement project for a decrease in the amount of $27,846.79. Tom or Corey, you want to address this evening?
Yeah, this is our first change order.
That's okay. As long as they keep going the same direction, we're fine.
Usually the first one goes this direction and then, but there are 4 items on this. We're adding some C-channel to one wall of the building. The east wall of the building is close to where the dried sludge is. And we use the end loader and the Bobcat over there quite a bit. And we anticipate running the buckets up against that wall. So we're putting some channels in there. That's a positive charge of $3,511. We're replacing I had a poly drain by ACO specified, and the Wagler people proposed a cast in place trench drain. There are 3 big trench drains in this building. And that's a credit of $17,835. The standard wall panels are 26 gauge, not 24 gauge that I had in the spec, so that was my mistake. But that's a credit of $1,200 $1,275. And then standard overhead doors, I had specified roll-up doors. That's usually what I specify. It's just it's my preference, but for a credit of $12,247.48, we'll have standard overhead doors. The rest of the doors in the plan are standard overhead doors anyway, so yes, the total is $27,846.79. Any other questions?
Motion?
So just how long is this going to take
How long is,
to complete it?
it's 180 days from October the 1st, whatever that is.
Motion is second. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Thank you very much.
Request approval of the 2025 fire protection agreement with Jamestown Township, the town of Fremont, $79,120, Scott Township, $8,566, and Jackson Township, even $6,000.
This is my moment. I put you all on notice again. This last time we're going to do this. Just to get it through this year, I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
I would remind everybody that the townships are getting a huge subsidy from the citizens of Angola in terms of this. Go back, like, to continue the concept, it's a trip to McDonald's. And that's insane. But I'm going to say I would give with the other township, I would give a year to try to fix this mess.
Has there been any discussion amongst the township on this issue, Mr. Mayor?
It's not as far as forming a territory.
Yeah.
No, nothing concrete. We are going to take those conversations up again next year. These, Jamestown was a 4% increase, was that right? Scott, I think was 15 is what we settled on, isn't that right? And Jackson, I don't remember the percentage, but I think it was at least 10.
I think it only came out to 5 this year, but they had a significant increase last year that they did themselves, which was over 10%. So.
Yeah, Jackson just voluntarily called and said, let's pay you more money. And then that was last year, this year, they did agree to a 5% increase.
Are they aware, Mr. Mayor, that of Mr. Olson's stance and maybe
Very
the
much so.
support he might have?
Very much so there.
Okay.
Have they been invited to the fire department?
Scott Township, I did this year. They balked at the 15% I asked for. We had to look at sustainability for the township. We can't ask them to do something that they can't sustain year over year. That's going to be a dead end project if we do. I did call in Scott. I did get a lot of back talk from, or back chat, I suppose is a better way to say it, from Scott. I did bring them in and walk them through the fire station and explain what the expenses are, what it takes to run a fire department. And I also think I told them that what they paid doesn't even buy turnout gear for 1 year for one of our guys. So, yeah, we did have a conversation.
And they were.
Yeah, and they came back around.
You understand.
Yeah, yes, they were. And this is a sustainable number. Until we totally restructure how we do fire protection within the county, we can't look for any kind of major increases out of some of these townships because they're pretty well maxed with the cap that they can raise their rates.
Has there been anything in the way of communication with county officials? Because it's really a county-wide problem.
Well, if you go to a district, I think is county-wide, territory is going to be township-wide. We feel better off with staying with township.
But I understand that.
Yeah, we've had conversations with them. They understand what the issues are. They understand, but at the end of the day, the decisions are going to be made by the township trustee and the advisory board.
Right.
So are all these calculated at different manners as far as the townships? I mean, is there how we arrive at
Didn't
these?
we have this conversation once before and there is no rhyme or
We
reason to
did, so
some
I
of
didn't
this?
know if we're working towards something that,
Pleasant Township, yes, it is.
Okay.
There is a mathematical formula for Pleasant Township
yes.
that we can rely on. Scott, Jackson, and Jamestown, no. Jamestown, we used to be the primary contractor for all of Jamestown. Jamestown is split half between Steuben or Angola and half Fremont. A number of years back, they changed Fremont to the primary and Angola is now a subcontractor. That's why you see the contract with Fremont.
But Fremont's all volunteer, isn't it?
No, they have a paid department. They have to be able to do the contract. It's required.
But the amount that Fremont received from Jamestown Township
It's considerably more.
like 4 times as much.
And they have a chief and an assistant chief, isn't that what they're professional?
yeah.
But they don't have, firefighters aren't paid, are they?
Well, there is no such thing as a volunteer fire department anymore. They're part-time. And we don't call ours volunteer anymore. We call them part-time employees, and it's that way all over the state. We used to call them volunteers, but they get paid
Right.
for.
It was who raced the fastest with the blue light on to get to the station
Yeah.
in that day, in the old day.
We actually pay, we have an hourly rate that we pay them, and they come in and they'll work a full shift. They're
Right.
part-time volunteer, if you call them that. They'll come in and actually work a
Fremont's
full
is that
shift.
same way? I
I believe they are,
Okay, I
yeah.
didn't-
Matter of fact, some of our people actually
But
work.
to answer your question,
Both places.
it was a number picked out of a hat almost.
Well, it's almost, I guess, to Councilmember Coffey's point, like, it seems like having a broader discussion with all of the units in our communities would be advantageous, at least to see if there's some opportunities for moving in a positive direction for fire protection.
We've had those conversations in the past, and we will continue to keep pushing to a point where we all have an equitable stake in the protection that's being granted by our.
Is the formula for Pleasant Township something that can be applied to Scott and so forth? Can it be as far as computing what
It's a little more difficult. You could come up with an intelligent way, but once again, until you make a major change in how the funding works, it's not a sustainable proposition for them. They are limited by how much they can increase year over year.
They're restricted by their maximum tax
Right.
levy.
Their levy growth is 4%,
So
and that's,
they would never be able to meet the formula, what the formula says they should pay based on what we do with Pleasant Township.
And run 2 weeks of pressure on their incentive for.
If you form- if you
Let me take the legislative back to.
if you form a territory, you recalculate everything, and the levy limit goes away temporarily. Okay, we have a motion. Anything else? We have a motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Request Common Council reappointment of Mark Cohen to the Redevelopment Commission for the year 2025. He is one of your appointments. I have spoken to Mr. Cohen. He is willing to do it.
Move to approve the appointment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I will tell you, the council does need one more appointment that we have been looking for. We try to keep a mix of talented people on that board. We lost Chuck Dow. Chuck was a manufacturing person, industrial person, corporate guy, understood that part of the business. I would like to find an individual that kind of fits that mold, and it has to be someone within the city of Angola. So if you have a name that you'd like us to entertain and look at and bring back for your approval, we need to add one. We need one more appointment to that board for the year. We have a motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Mayoral board commitment and committee and commission appointments for 2025. Everything is year over year the same, except for council member Rowe has left the council, so we will replace him with council member Dow in those same positions. It's the only change year over year. And just for your information, former council member Rowe has accepted a position on our Board of Zoning Appeals. It is a nonpartisan position. You do not have to declare party connection, and so he should be able to serve on that board. He was very excited to be able to continue serving. Those are for your information. Mayoral department head and appointments for 2025. Once again, all the Department heads were kind enough to sign up for another year and will continue serving the city of Angola for another year. The only change would be William Herter will be now our fire chief, and he will take over as of December 22nd. Those are also for your information.
My spelling time.
I knew you.
Tom Slemon.
I knew you'd find that.
Hi, Tom.
Matter of fact, I think somebody pointed that out to me the other day. I said, well, I wonder if Randy will catch this.
Oh my God, that's a good catch.
I'm your hero now, Tom.
Note for the record, the filing of the annual certificate of elected officials to the executive of the city of Angola, Indiana on compliance with the municipal nepotism policy involving direct line supervision for the mayor, clerk treasurer, and council members. Also note for the record, the filing of the annual certificate of elected officials to the executive of the city of Angola, Indiana on compliance with the municipal nepotism policy contracting with unit policy for the mayor and council members. The clerk treasurer depository statements, cash reconciliation, I can never say that word, for the month ending November 24, presented to council information. Reports, clerk treasurer.
We finally received our 1782 notice on Friday. That's the document which basically approves our budget for the year, the DLGF. So our budget is approved in whole and we are good to go for 2025. Awesome. That's all I
Anything
have.
from the law?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
REFA, economic development, planning.
I have a new employee starting January 6th, or a new community coordinator. Her name is Allison Daglow. And she is excited to get started. Her office is being constructed and finished on the first floor now, so she'll be ready to go January 6th.
Corey.
Nothing to report, sir.
Tom. Amanda. Chief.
No report, sir.
Good. Request approval of the allowance of accounts payable voucher 71,845 through 72,100, totaling $1,128,913.41, which includes interfund transfers of $126,496.57.
So moved and seconded.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Other new business. Denny, you want to address the council this evening?
Absolutely.
Look out.
Good evening, council. My name is Denny Springer, and I'm before you this evening as the advisor for the Steuben County, Indiana Youth and Government Program. If you are familiar with it or not, I'll explain a little bit just what the program is about. The program is ran through the YMCAs in the state of Indiana. This year, there's a total of about 300 middle school and high school students that are participating in the program. It is laser focused on state legislation, on state government. It's a 6-month-long program, and the students come into the program with the charge of developing a piece of legislation that they have a passion for. That would be to create a new law or to possibly change an existing law. And they have this whole period of time to develop that legislation. Though we put it together rather quickly, and the gist of the program then is spent with their skills being development for parliamentary procedure. At the end of the program, the high school students go down to the State House for 3 days, where they are going to emulate, just as our state representatives and state senators do. They have the first day of Friday, they're out of school, and that would be the day that they're going to be in committee. So they make their presentations in their committees that are 10 members each, and then the legislation as presented then is graded. Day 2, which would be a Saturday, and day 3, the Sunday, depending on how well they presented their legislation, they are put on a poster and they are ranked as to when they will present their legislation in the chamber. So we actually go in to the State House, in both representative side and in the state side. Last year was Steuben County's first year in the program, and we had some of the highest obtaining students in the whole state. Last year, there was 35 Senate bills presented, and there was like 37 House bills presented. We ended up, number one House bill was a young lady, a sophomore from Fremont. Number two Senate bill that was written was a junior from Angola High School. These students really excelled. They are the best of the best. The students that come into the program, they make the commitment, and they do excel. They're not being challenged in school like a lot of the students are. These are the students that really want to do something. So as their advisor, what I do is try to mentor them and work them through this situation. Now, like tonight, observing how you all network with one another, discuss something, come up with a proposal or a resolution or make a decision or whatever. That networking, believe me, that is totally alien to our young people today. It really is. Everything is very personal, very private, confidential, whatever. So this is an awesome program. And what I'd like to do is have your permission to bring my 12 students in to one of the meetings and have them very quietly sit here and observe. Would there be a problem with that?
Only one. They are not be allowed to be quiet. They must introduce themselves and talk to us a little bit. We do have a requirement when students come and visit.
I think that's a very perfect proposal. And I think maybe they could even elaborate a little bit on what their legislation is about.
Perfect.
If you have the time for that. It may be all 12 of them, may only be half of them, but they are interested.
They're always welcome. This is an open meeting anyway, Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it when we've got somebody, no offense to the department heads. but You have a little crowd once in a while.
I have some rules that I have to abide by, so I'm gonna bring them on a bus. Do you think there'd be a problem if we park the bus over across the street there in the parking lot?
Not in my corner. You could literally park it in front of the police department. We could bring you up the back door.
That would be better yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of plan on that. So January 6th is the next meeting. Is it going to be a biggie or?
We've started to put the agenda together. Usually the first of the year is not that action packed. There's usually not a lot of things on there. There's going to be some appointments, we hope, and some other minor things, but
would it be better to wait a little bit?
I think it probably would, don't you?
Yeah.
I could make up some controversy.
Any more than you already do?
So we're in program through February when it ends. So if a date in February would be better, that's fine.
The second meeting in January, maybe.
Yeah,
Second in January.
Or the third.
Okay, I'll count on that.
yeah.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. As we close out the year for 2024, hopefully I've expressed my appreciation to all our employees for all the hard work they have done this year. They've made the year very easy and the city very easy to run, and I appreciate that. And I do want to pass on my appreciation to the council members for your dedication, your hard work, your counsel, your input. I thank you all very much for making it a very good year, and I certainly wanted to pass my thanks along to you, along with a Merry Christmas and enjoy the holidays. And our next council meeting will be Monday, January 6th. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, sir. Yep.